Hey guys, just a random person here again. I wanted to make a video because I was looking at my recent videos that I uploaded and all my past videos since I just started posting videos this last summer. And I only posted a couple videos on the Razz, and I never really explained in detail what all I did to the Razz to make it look like this. As you can see, it is not any sort of stock color. It is a orange. I did have it painted. So basically, I'll kind of tell you guys my history on the Razz, how I got it, and for how much, and what it looked like, what was wrong with it. So, I live in Michigan, and I was looking on Craigslist, found this Razz for sale for $425. And I saw that the location of the Razz was only about 30 minutes away from where I live. So I'm like, wow, that's the closest one I've ever found. And it's really in kind of my budget, it's in my range. But so I'm like, well, I'm going to call the guy, because this ad had only been up there for about a day or two, because I look every day. I looked every day to try to find one. And so I looked, called the guy, asked him if he still had it. He said it was available still. He said he only had one other guy looked at it, and offered him lower than what I offered him. I offered him $380 over the phone, not looking at the Razz. So basically, I went and checked it out, me and my cousin, and he only lives about 30 minutes away, so we did it on like a Sunday. So we went there, we got there, and I seen that it looks a little rougher than what it did in the picture. Obviously, I can't show you that now, because I didn't take pictures of it, what it looked like initially, except for back on a couple of my YouTube videos, you'll see it without any plastics, not the stock turtle shell. I might put some pictures up of it, of what it used to look like. I have before and after pictures that I might post up on YouTube in a video. I'm just not very familiar with YouTube yet about editing photos in and cutting parts of the video you don't want in there. So I'm just not going to tamper with that right now. But so we get there, I look at it, I definitely tell it's been wrecked. It looks rough. I got some of the stock parts over here I'm going to show you. This was the stock seat on it when I arrived. When I came to pick it up, it didn't have the duct tape or anything on there. I did that, and half that the Yamaha's rubbed off. It just looked really rough, like they dumped it hard. And this was the stock foot shield. As you can see, they dumped it on its right and left side. They dumped it both ways. He said that it was his son that had it before him, so he probably treated it like shit. So, I mean, I would have too. So, it didn't have the key cover there. None of that. And then this was the stock fender. It's all broken, like the brackets right there, all broken inside, just wobbling around. I had to zip tie it tight keep it from wobbling around when I first wrote it. And it has big ass broken spot out of there. Not even plastic weld would have fixed that. So this was that, and this is broken too, both tabs. I did try to plastic weld those on before I got the new headlight cover, but it broke off. The vibration of the engine just broke them back off. So that shit was really wobbly, and it was zip tied. It actually was taped on, and then what I did is I zip tied them from the inside onto there. So that was some of the stock parts. Well, those were all the stock parts that were on there that I couldn't reuse. So I have those. And what I did keep was the turtle shell plastic, because that was not scratched up. Because when they wrecked it on the right side, the pipe took the damage, and so did the, you can see a little bit of fraying down there. It doesn't look that bad, but that's what took a lot of that damage. And I actually got this seat, the headlight cover, the foot shield, and the fender are all off the same Razz that I bought parts off of eBay. And that Razz was a 1996 Razz. All came off those. So I was pretty happy to get them kind of in a bundle, just off all the same parts. So that was pretty nice. So I did get this, and it had a Batman sticker on it. It was like a darkish cocktail purple color, same color. He gave me, I think, like a couple of the headlight clips. He didn't give me the headlight. The headlight's the same. These blinker covers are brand new OEM. I ordered those from Yamaha themselves, because I just didn't want to get them off eBay, because a lot of the people didn't put which side they were. They didn't say if they were right or left, so I wasn't going to do it. I did order my front brake lever, not back brake. This lever right here came off of the same 1996 Razz 2. This is a 2000. The frame and the engine are 2000 with the turtle shell and the front panel right here, and all the gray plastics are all the same, off the same Razz. As you can see, all the gray plastics are there, the lining plastics under the turtle shell. There are a couple little broken notches out here, but as long as you got your end notches, you're good, usually. So, rims, everything, tires. These are the stock tires on this thing. Like, the tires have never been changed. I actually have some new tires waiting over there. Don't know how good the inner tubes are yet. So if I ever have to change the tire, I'm going to check the tubes. And probably going to buy new ones. Everything else, though, all stock on it. Obviously, my handlebars and stuff. They actually did not tear up this. I was very surprised to see that was still intact. Since they dumped it the hardest on that side. This one, yeah, it's got a little tiny tear in there. Nothing big. So, basically back to the story of when I bought it. I got there, I looked at the guy sitting in there in the garage as I'm arriving, trying to start it. He's like, man, I just had it running 2 weeks ago, man. I didn't want to get a bad representation on this thing when you arrived. And so I'm like, well, I mean, it's a Yamaha, and he's like, I asked him how many miles he had on it. It had 2,200 miles on it. Now it has 2,800. But he's like, oh, 22,000. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll buy that. Even though I already knew it was 2,200, not 22,000. So I'm like, yeah, I'll buy that, because that'll help me out a little bit. Because if this thing really had 22,000 miles on it, you think he would be actually selling it for that much? Plus, it wasn't running at the time, so when I arrived. So that's how I got a little bit better a deal. So, I mean, I looked at it, and man, it was dusty. It was dusty. It was cracks. There was tape on the front. There was, my cousin's like, why are you buying this piece of shit? Because he doesn't know the actual value of them. So he's like, dude, this thing looks like shit. Why would you spend that much money? And I'm like, dude, just trust me. And so I got down, I'm looking at the engine, I'm looking under the crankcase. It's got oil and shit, like, just all over the bottom. Like, I'm looking, two-strokes are messy. And I'm looking up at the exhaust, and this has got black oil just everywhere. I'm like, wow. Man, he must not have rode this thing in a while, or cleaned it. So I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, I'm playing with his head. I'm like, dude, this thing's leaking oil out of the crankcase. I don't know if I can do 380 anymore. And he's like, well, I don't know, anything lower. I didn't know if I was gonna take that. I'm like, dude, I'll give you like $350 cash right now. I know that's not that much off of $380, but I still didn't want to pay $380 for it. So he's like, oh man, I don't know if I can go that low. So basically, he finally gave in. We took the Razz. We didn't even have a truck to put it in. We just put it in the back of my cousin's Yukon. We just took the mirror off and slipped it right in there, put it on its center stand, and right side is just so short. It's not tall. So it barely fit in there still. So that was the story of me buying it, and I got it home. I knew the thing was going to start right up, because another thing was, when he was trying to start it, he was kick-starting the shit out of it, and he didn't even have the choke on. He said it had been sitting for 2 weeks. So I'm like, dude, I didn't mention to it there. I mean, I played dumb. I was kicking it over too. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's not starting. So basically, that's how I got my deal on it. It's worth a lot more money now, but not without putting a little bit into it. So as you can see, I mean, it's pretty customized up to this point. There's not many people that can say that they have a 20-year-old Japanese style taillight on it. That's another story right there. So that was the story of me getting the Razz. Now, basically all I put on it, I kind of already told you plastic wise what I put on there. I obviously took the old taillight off. This was actually a stock one. Someone tried to wheelie and biffed it. That was the stock OEM taillight cover to it. And then all of those are stock, except for that. I mean, I bought a new one, because I can actually sell this whole thing on eBay for a pretty decent price. And this is the stock lens, as you can see, all scratched up and shit. This one wasn't as bad, it just had cracks in it. I didn't like that. So, and those are just the covers that covered up the fender right there. So basically, that's all that I've put on it, and pretty much the price range, what I put into it, is over $1,000, because the paint, obviously the paint job was the most expensive, because this is high quality paint. I mean, this is metallic. It doesn't look as good right now, but if you have it in the sun, it shines. Like my YouTube picture, my picture of this thing, you can see it looks pretty good. So, I mean, that was the priciest part. So it's just all about getting all your parts, and I had to repaint it. I mean, there was no way it was just going to look good without it getting repainted. I'm like, I want my own custom Razz. I want to customize this thing out and just make it look really good. So that's what we ended up doing, and just went for it. And as far as engine-wise, carburetor-wise, it's all stock. That's another thing I had to buy. I had to buy an air box. Not air box, but an air filter. I had to buy that because there was only like half the filter in it when I bought it. So it would still run. It ran really good until you get a couple pieces of foam clogging up the jets, and it would completely stall out. And then you'd have a really hard time starting it back up. So I'm like, wow, I bought this thing. What's going on? I'm like, it has to be something in the air filter. Carb's got to be dirty or something, because I didn't clean it when I first got it. So I ruled it out, took the air box off, just half the air filter in there. I'm like, yep, need a new one of those. Couldn't ride it until one of those came in. And basically, that's all I put on it. I checked the front brakes. The front brakes look really good. The back brakes, I've never taken the back wheel off this thing. We actually did have to put an exhaust gasket in there, because the gasket was missing. That's why there was so much oil everywhere. It was crankcase oil on the bottom, because whoever made the last gear oil change did not tighten the seal bolt back up very good for the bottom, the drain bolt, I mean. They didn't tighten it back up. And as far as this taillight goes right here, guys, it's Japanese, like I said. These lenses right here are over 20 years old. Not a lot of people realize that, but they're over 20 years old. And so basically what I had to do, that's not stock. The wires don't hook up with that. You can't just take the bulbs out of that one and hook them back up into this. That's not how it works. you actually have to strip off the plug-in for the wire here, like what I did. Actually, I think I cut a couple. I cut that one, the blinker, the positive blinker, and on both sides. I cut the positive wire to the blinkers on both sides, and I had to cut the clip completely off, all 3 wires. And what I actually ended up buying were, they're in here, right here, were these, I'll show you guys. And these don't fit in there good either. So, they're called a 7443 socket bulb. And basically, it comes with 3 wires. For the blinkers, you only have to use 2, so you cut the white and use the green and the red. Cut the white. And so that's what I had to do. I kind of did a lot of research. And the guy that actually sent me, the guy was cool enough, the guy that sent me the taillight cover was pretty nice, and he helped me guide through a lot of it. Basically what I had to do is I had to take this Dremel, and I had to Dremel out the fender to fit the blinkers, because the blinkers, not even this part right here, will fit in. So I had to Dremel it out to the right size, and I hooked it in. It's pretty stable in there. You got to be really careful with the Dremel, obviously. Sorry about that. You got to be careful with the Dremel, or else you won't. You'll go overboard, and you won't be able to fit it in there. And with the actual taillight, it's almost wide enough for it already, so you got to Dremel it off a little bit. You got to be really careful with that, because if you go over, it's really easy to go over. It fits in there really snug though, and it's definitely a very cool mod. The taillight hooks up all 3. You just got to know how to wire things. It's really not too difficult, but you have to know how to put wires back in and understand what their function is and what they do. Oh man, this video is taking a lot longer than I thought, but so that's basically what I've done to the Razz. Everything engine-wise is stock, carburetor, obviously. I mean, there's not much mods you can do to these things. You can't really do anything with the mods because it runs it lacks the CVT, because it's a chain drive CVT. Well, it's not a CVT. It's just a chain drive with a starter clutch with a little weight for your variator. Your variator, technically, is just a weight. And the clutch is really weird. I mean, half this crankcase is filled with transmission fluid. And it's just different. I mean, ever since I saw that, I'm like, yeah, that's a little different. That's your filler cap for your transmission fluid. It's not. The gears are in here, not in here. That's just your drive gear that goes through there. That's it. There's no gears in there. So it's definitely a lot different. It's still, I mean, it's basically a Yamaha jog, but with no CVT. Because the jogs and the Zumas, yeah, they have CVT. This is just a little bit different. It's more restricted, and it was a cheaper way to sell them. I mean, these things retailed, and the last year that they were made, they retailed for $1,400, which is pretty cheap for Yamaha. I don't remember how much the jogs were, but the Zumas have always been really pricey. So, basically, I mean, that was the way they dimmed them down a little bit to be restricted, plus to slow them down and keep them cheaper. So, one thing I did notice while I'm down here, I bought these cool little valve stem covers. I don't know if you can see in there. They say, damn it. Maybe I can get better this side. Yeah. Sorry, guys. They say Yamaha on them. It's pretty cool. They sell them in 2 different kinds. They sell them in those, which is more of the retro style of where they wrote Yamaha on their things. And then they have the actual like logo with the like 3 arrows or whatever it is. So that sums up the Razz, guys. Oh, and the mirror. Yep, the mirror was stock too. Didn't have to buy a new one. Didn't buy another one. So that sums it up. The Razz. And if you ever wanted to know what this paint color was, this paint color is called Sunrise Orange, and I have it in a metallic. It's a very expensive color though. I mean,